back are tight. Sit with your shin bones crossed, one in front of the other. And try to cross the non-dominant shin bone in front of the other. So if your instinct is to put your right shin in front of your left, switch it so your left is in front of your right, or vice versa. Flex your feet. Don't pull the feet close to the groin. Push the feet away from you, and try to put your left foot under your right knee and your right foot under your left knee more. So there's some lift to the thigh. It's because if you pull your heels too close and your back is tight, your groin's tight, you'll lean one way more than the other. Press your hands into about the middle of your thigh. Spread your palms out a little bit so you don't push down on bone. Lift your spine up tall. Drop your shoulders. Keep that spine lifted. Let your head lift and move back slightly so we get out of this forward action. Head lifted. Take another nice deep breath. Press your hands down again. Lift your spine up a little more, inhaling as you go. And as you exhale, draw your back ribs towards each other. Stretch your side ribs forward and lift your front ribs up. This is a doming of the rib cage. Not just on the front out, right? You're not pushing the chest bone out. You're lifting and spreading the ribs. As my teacher would like to say, like a cat's paws spread. The ribs spread like that. Head neutral. Let your shoulders drop, relax the arms. Keep your legs and your chest lifted. Or your legs active, your chest lifted. And let your eyes close for a minute. As you start your practice, wherever you come from, your yoga mat's still here. I think it's pretty easy, or at least has been for me in my past, to let things deny me that thing that I want or need for myself, whatever it is. But you're all the ones that made it to class. So just take a minute and acknowledge what you went through today to be here. Doesn't matter if you consider it a great trial or trivial. You still made it to the thing that is for you, and all the things that could have gotten in your way. Work, traffic, if you're still, out on the road. Sadness, whatever it is. You took time to work on you. You're creating something different for yourself than everything else that's going on in your life. That's part of the transformative quality of yoga, that you made that choice and you're here. So when you're in your practice today, think about what you're trying to actually create with this. Don't let this just be some more time. You're killing an hour on your mat before you go back to the way it was. So whatever comes up for you, you want to be healthier, you're doing it. You want to be happier, you're working on it. Actively let your practice be the practice of the thing you want with the help of yoga to create. That yoga is not just going to give it to you. Yoga is not going to inflict it on you, nor are you wasting your time. Collaborative with the physical self, mental self, and emotional self. So be aware of the three parts of yourself as they go through this. One may be drawn back to other things or be distracted by things. So be aware of the own words you would use to describe your body or the challenges you face. You don't need your mind telling your body that it's not something good. Be aware of your emotions when you think of things, the challenge of them. Happiness takes practice just as much as anything else. Because this is not just a practice for your hamstring, but for your heartstring and headstring too. Bring the palms together at your chest, let your thumbs touch your sternum. Still keeping the head lifted, shoulders down, chest rise. We'll take a breath in and Om shortly, 3 times, and then we'll begin. Breath in. Oh. Flex your feet. Oh. Chest lifted. Oh. Bow your head. Salute the essence of yoga inside yourself. Bring your hands into the lap. Let your head rise and your eyes open. Great. So nice to see everybody. Some more people made it in, or some people have unblocked their cameras. So very nice to see everyone's made it today. All right. Let's go ahead and come to a standing position, please. Tadasana, at the center of your mat. If you're not familiar with the word Tadasana, it means mountain pose. It's one of the most basic, it is the most basic standing pose I think we do, but because, you know, yoga is a human practice, humans are complex, the pose becomes complex. Squeeze the thighs together and calf together. Try to bring your heels to touch, your big toes and toe joints to touch. And then when you flex your thighs, feel what flexes first. Are you just squeezing the buttock and pushing the hip forward, or are you pushing your knees back? There's a tendency to want to work these two spots more than the front muscle of your leg, your quad. So lift all 10 toes up off the floor. Soften the knee so there's a slight little bit of give to it. You could push it a little harder to locked, or you could bend it even more towards deeper bend. Kind of find that little point just off of your maximum and let that be there. Let the joint be soft. Learn to work more of the muscle of your leg. Unflex your glutes for a moment. Push down through your feet, keeping your 10 toes lifted. So your weight has to go into your heel and the front of the foot equally. And think about the hamstrings, the large muscle on the leg between the knee and your glute. Lift it, let your hamstrings lift your buttock slightly. Now you're not pushing your butt out and bending forward, but you want to let the glute lift, let the legs push through the ground to such a degree you actually feel a shift in the alignment of your pelvis up. That also doesn't mean sway your back forward, right? Again, not the chest out, but there's just a lift to that glute muscle. So now your thighs are flexing a little more. Now you can flex your glutes a little bit. And just work that and feel which one wants to fire, which one doesn't. Feel where the balance is into your left and right. Because the tendency is, regardless of muscle development, one set of muscles wants to work more than the other. And so in every pose, you kind of learn to define and distinguish which are doing which. Whether it's visually, right? Feel free to look down at your toes, make sure they're all 10 up off the floor, see which ones aren't. Feel how your body weight shifted, just even tilting your spine down like that. Your neck is part of your spine, so you tilt it down, your weight shifts. Lift the head back up to neutral. Without looking down, place your big toes on the floor and keep every other toe up. Without looking down, try to figure out where your toes are before you have to look. Relax your hands. Start with the little stuff, right? You want to create all these big changes in your body or for your world or whatever you're here for, you know, regardless of it's your first time on the yoga mat or your 100th time on the yoga mat, can you start small and then build up off of there? So what you're building is exactly what you want. Stable, balanced, endurance. Pick your big toes back up, all 10 toes up. Place your pinky toes on the floor. Try to keep all the other toes lifted. Notice how your foot and your leg reacts to that, how small a movement, small a digit that pinky is, and everything shifts. Reattach everything else back to where it was. Now, best you can, place your big toe, pinky toe down. Keep your middle 3 lifted. Try not to look. You should know where your toes are. Right? Feel it first. see what you're feeling before you visually see what's happening, right? One of the things that yoga asks us to do is pay attention to the stuff that we take for granted and the stuff we don't even know to look at about ourselves. So feel what your toes are doing and then look down at what your toes are doing and see if that jives with what, you know, your head is telling you. And then see what emotion comes up. You might smile and laugh at it or be confused or angry, whatever it is, right? In that action of this pose, you got to see all three sheets or koshas of yourself, of the 8, lined up. Is your head, your heart, and your body line up in action? For some of us, yes, some of us, no. So kind of work that for just a moment. Let your hands relax, let the shoulders stay down, still squeeze the legs in, keep that buttock muscle lifted but flexed, knees unlocked, and just try to move your toes for just another moment. Trust me, there'll be lots of other work to do. But for right now, can you let your focus just be on the smallest part and try to ask that to get in line with every other part? All right. Take a nice deep breath in, stretch both arms straight up. Palms squeezing together, palm to palm. Do not cross the fingers. Do not cross your thumbs. Move your time. Squeeze your palms nice and tight. And when you squeeze your palms tight together, notice which part of your hand presses more than the other. Might be the heel of the hand, might be the pinky side of it. Try to press the space between the index finger and thumb firmer in right at the middle, so the chest muscles have to flex. And the more you push the pinky side of the hand together, the back muscles flex. Try to get them both to work equally, just like the foot. This can be a very challenging thing to do with your hands above your head, to get that even pressure. The palm must spread. The inner or the front and back muscles of the body must activate, and then lift up taller using those flexed muscles. Try not to let your elbows bend, but squeeze the elbow in towards the head. Lift the rib cage, lift the front back body. And then again, inner palm or thumb side of the palm, pinky side of the palm, firm, even, and feel which one's not even. Are you still got your toes? Big toe, pinky toe down, middle 3 up. I didn't say come out of that. So can you connect the 2 limb sets together? Your fingers are as far away as they can be from your toes. And can you stretch your attention across both points? A teacher that I used to know, Sean Tieber, used to talk about stretching in yoga is learned from the hamstrings, but ultimately practice in our dhyana or sharpness across our whole consciousness. So can you stretch and work your hands in this way that I've asked, the pinky side, the thumb side, and your feet in a similar way, at least if it's not perfect, right? It's not what the mental picture you have of what it might look like. It doesn't look like that. But can you still work it anyway? Asking your body to move in some imaginary vision of perfect is like picking up a violin and expecting to sound like Sherlock Holmes or, one of the great players all right out the gate. It's true. Your body's just as complex, more complex than the instrument. Bring the arms down alongside the body, step the feet wide, 3.5 to 4 foot apart. Come on, step wider. Don't be like Tristan and demo badly. Step wide. Don't be afraid of your yoga mat. Before you turn the right toes out, usually I teach when you turn the toes out, you pivot on the heel. And this is true, but we're going to change it slightly. Remember, I've talked about the leg that is dominant, the leg that's going to do the power of the move. We're going to do warrior 2. But before we do that, we want to work on the balanced leg first. So here's a test, just so you can see what I'm going to tell you the thing, and then we're going to test it. Push through your left heel first and turn your left toes in more. just even like a tiny little bit more. So you really have to feel that left thigh flex to push down through the foot. Then keep that left leg straight and active. Push through your right heel and turn your right toes out away from your body. Notice there's a lot of ease in that motion. Now turn your right toes back forward. Turn your left toes out slightly away from you, just a little, just like not all the way out, not all the way out like warrior two. So just so your pinky toe is just to the outer edge of your foot. Now push through your right heel and turn your toes out like you're going to do warrior two. Very hard to do because when your left leg is not engaged, the leg that's moving has no balance to it. Balance, power without balance is just going to hurt someone, you or the world. I don't know. Turn your left toes in by pivoting on the left heel first. So whenever you're about to do a pose where there's a rotation of a leg, make the leg that is not in the pose yet be the active part of it. Work your balance first. Turn your left toes in, pivot on your right heel, turn your right toes out. And notice again, there's an ease to that movement. There's a freedom of movement in that right hip now. So by balancing that left leg better, the next actions can be not easier, but more fluid. You can feel it, right? Yoga's not here to make you numb. Drugs for that. Stretch both arms wide. Turn the palm and bicep up towards the ceiling and think about stretching the bicep away from the ear, the forearm away from the bicep, hand away from the forearm. So you feel not the shoulders come up, but the shoulders go wide. You feel the muscles under your shoulder blades have to draw the shoulder blades into your ribs and stretch that, and that bicep has to flex a little bit to pull itself away from that shoulder. Keep that, turn your palms flat, but keep the bicep up and out. Good. Bend the right knee for a moment, warrior two, Virabhadrasana two. Look out over your right arm. Then, now the right leg's talking. Now it's hard. What happened to your left leg? All that work that you did to turn that left foot in, can you still keep driving through that left heel and let your body weight not shift, your torso weight, I should say, from the hips up to the shoulders. Don't let it shift forward towards the right thigh, but keep that body weight back into that left heel and into the buttock. When you sit down in a chair, you don't sit down groin first. So feel your weight in your hips. Are you leaning forward, or can you, again, push through the heels, let the hamstring lift the buttocks so the legs are active in their support of the spine, and lean yourself back from your mid ribs towards the world behind you. It's not you like you're hanging your head back or throwing your shoulders back. Lean from the core body. Trust the weight of your body into your legs. If you're tired, great. Welcome to effort. Put some sweat equity into this. All right, straighten your right leg. Turn your right toes in. Pause. Push through the right heel and really turn your right toes in a little bit more. Get that big toe past the inner heel. Pivot on your left heel, turn your left toes out. Always set the back leg first. Once that is set, everything else we do has a fluidity to it. Balance brings all the other parts of the practice. Turn the palms up, biceps up again. Stretch the biceps away from the shoulder. Let the chest come up since the shoulder blades are trying to come down. Palms down, biceps up, bend the left knee again, any degree. When you bend that left knee, work through that right leg. Again, can you make balance be the focus? And this will happen. The left leg's going to scream and sweat and get tired, and your arms are going to get hurt, get fatigued. Like I've said before, the old saying of squeaky wheel gets the grease may be true, but in yoga, we shouldn't just pay attention to the squeaky wheel. We have to pay attention to all of it. So stretch those arms out. Push down through the feet so you feel the buttock lift slightly. Remember, it's the hamstrings pick up the glute. The glute flexes so you can lean your spine back. The tendency to lean forward in chairs or to slouch has put a lot of curve or flattening of the lower lumbar. The lower back should be curved towards the abdomen and the rest of the spine lifted. Take a few nice deep breaths. or whatever you define that is. Don't lean over your left leg. Lift your spine up, not towards the left, but into the right heel. Makes your right hip extenders work. Straighten your left leg. Turn your toes in. Turn your left toes in deeper. Turn your right toes out. Pivot on the right heel. Always don't pick your heel up, twist it, and then down, and then your toes out. Always pivot on that heel so you're making the whole femur bone rotate. Bend your right knee again with your hands on your hips. Feel what's going on in your warrior two for a moment. Let's examine this like we did Tadasana. You can do hundreds of yoga poses, but if you don't do them with some awareness of where you're going with your body, you're just throwing darts in the dark and seeing if you hit anything. Push through your outer left heel. And when you bend that right knee, take a look at the alignment of your right thigh to your right knee to your right heel. If your left hip is in line with your left heel, then that femur bone, that hip to heel alignment is stable. Keep that. Balance first. But if your right knee rolls in so that your right knee is not directly above your heel, don't push it. Don't push it over that heel. I know some of you have been taught to only keep the knee right above the heel, but that can push on your groin improperly. Just kind of note where it is. And is your thigh level to the floor? Tristan's is pretty close, but her inner right thigh isn't quite in line with her inner right. If this is true for you, this tells you that the inner groin and the hips are tight, and your tendency is to want to lean towards that right leg. That's normal. That's what happens when you get tight groin. So straighten the leg for a moment. Grab a yoga block or a couple books. Get yourself at least 2 or 3 inches of height. And then you're going to put it right flat under your right foot. Your right foot's going to stand on that block. There's one of the first things that I learned from Gabriel Halpern was the saying that if you can't get to the floor, you have to bring the floor to you. So you see Tristan has got the block right there. She's going to keep her left toes turned in, put her right foot up on that. So join her. Now, your feet are still 3.5 to 4 foot apart, foot's up on the block. Before you do anything, turn your left toes in just a hair so you feel that left heel really dig into the mat. Strong leg. Push through the feet so you feel the hamstring. You can try to play with lifting the buttock with the hamstring, and then bend the right knee again. And then feel the difference in your hip. Bend the knee deeper, Adam, come on. Feel the difference in the hip there. Visually for Tristan, her thigh bone is now more parallel, and she feels something different. You want to fill us in?
It's more of I don't know, groin, lower hamstring, just kind of stretching.
More is stretching for her. Now it's not locked up into the joint or the inner groin muscle. Now it's moving from groin to hamstring also. So she also said something that it's easier for her to rotate her left thigh in. Let's look at that. Straighten your right leg for a moment. Look at your left leg for a moment and look at the direction your left toes are pointing and your left knee is pointing. Your left knee joint should not, and this is going to apply to a massive amount of standing poses. We're going to do like 4 or 5 pretty quick after we get this structure in place. So this is not one pose. Your left knee should be pointing straight out the direction your pelvis is facing. If your left knee turns in too much, or your back knee turns in too much to the right, your foot's probably turned in too much and you need to rotate your thigh back. If your left knee is turned out away from the pose a bunch, make sure your toes are in the right direction and then rotate your thigh in until you hit that center point. You don't want one way or the other. If you rotate it into the pose too much, you torque your inner knee, collapse your arch, and then you'll come to me later and say, Dustin, my pose hurts. If your knee's not too much out, you'll say, Dustin, my groin hurts. I'm like, yeah, sure. So keep that knee centered. Now, once that leg is stable, stretch both arms out again. Bend the right knee. And then look at your left knee. Did it go out? Did it go in? Or did it stay centered? And just for a moment, experiment. Let your left knee turn in like you're overly internally rotating. Feel what happens to your ankle, arch, groin. Not fun. Great. Now turn your left knee out so you're externally rotating the thigh too much. She just said, ugh. So I'm going to take it no one's having fun. So now turn your knee back to center. And then notice, once again, that knee hits center, you can stretch the right thigh deeper. Now, second action. Place your hands on your hip bones. Are you tilting forward? Are you tilting back? Can you press your hands down onto your pelvis and lift your spine taller, kind of like when you pushed your hands on your thighs at the start? And then lean back, not your head. Your head doesn't hang down. Let your head move with the whole spine. Don't let your neck pull your spine. Let all of it move together. Straighten the leg, step off the block, put the block on the other foot. So the structure that I'm trying to give you, like where the rotations are and the pressure is, and why we're using the block, can change a bunch of different poses. Any pose where there's one foot turned out and the other pointing in the same direction the pelvis is facing, this will apply to. We'll do quite a few towards the end, but get the structure down first and then apply it across your poses. This is what the experimentative part of yoga is. Not just how do I clear my chakra, but how do I get my body to even move the right way? Push through the right heel, turn the toes in just a hair more. Set your left foot if you haven't already. Hands on your hips. Bend that left knee. We're not going to do the experiment of rotating the right thigh in and out. You already know what that's like. But look at your right knee and make sure your right knee isn't turning out or in. But even though your right toes are turned in, your knee is more pointing straight forward the direction your pelvis is pointing. So you got to look at your own body on this. And then, just to throw a little bit more fun in there, if you look at your right toes and they're turning white, I call that cat mudra. It's where you're digging your nails into the mat. Do not do cat mudra. Put your weight in your heels. Remember Tadasana? Lift your 10 toes up for a moment and feel the weight shift back, right? Press your hands into your hips. Let your toes relax, but keep the weight difference. Lift your spine. Lift both sides of it, right? Lean back slightly. And then let that left thigh stretch. Make the stretch happen because that left thigh is dragging away from this very stable structure of the rest of the body. You can stretch your arms out. You can finish the pose if you like. If you've been in path classes, you might go, well, why aren't we working? You're asking, why aren't we working on the arms? Trust me. I think there was like an entire month where we did nothing but the arm structures of these poses. So you can go back to YouTube. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. All right. Straighten the leg, bring the foot down. Woo! Warm yet? Yeah, she's feeling it. Great. Step wide on your yoga mat. Yeah. Go ahead and place the block under your right foot again. Turn the right toes out, put the right foot up on the block. We're going to do this for both sides, regardless of what pose we do. We want to challenge the elevation of the foot, because if you can't get your thigh level in the bent knee poses, it is better to elevate the foot, I have found, to free the hip up, to teach it that mobility. Pivot the outer heel, left heel pushes down, turn the toes in, bend the right knee again. Just briefly, take the right elbow onto the right knee, like so. Make sure your fingers are not pointing the same direction as your left toes, but turn your right arm out, your bicep out, so your right arm points the same direction as your right toes. Right, side angle. Can you work through your left leg in the same manner? Look at your left knee, make sure it's not turned in or out. And then notice if that's true, can you bend your right knee in such a way with the block under your foot that your right knee is above your right heel? take your left hand and stretch it out over the left foot as far as you can stretch it. So the shoulder comes away from there. Again, turn the palm and bicep up to the ceiling and elongate that large muscle away from the joint. Then stretch your left arm out in front of your face. Still now stretch that large muscle of the bicep away from the shoulder again and feel it pull the shoulder blade. Got it? So when it was over the left foot and stretched wide, it stretched your trapezius. With it out over in front of your, with it in front of your face and stretched wide, it stretches your trapezius and your back muscles. And now turn the palm down, keep that stretch, and then let it elongate overhead. So it doesn't ever go up to the ceiling at any point. That's all joint. When you elongate that muscle and then finish that fulfilling swinging motion, that arc creates a lengthening action to that lateral body. So now when you stretch the left bicep from the shoulder, feel the difference in your ribs. Your ribs go with. When you stretch through that left heel, your hips go with. Deep breath. Take the left arm out of the pose the way you got into the pose. Come on up. Switch legs. When you set stabilizing ports, or what I call structural technique in your yoga poses, everything you do past that will give you a little bit more feeling, not intensity of stretch, but the ability to feel what's going on inside your body and head and heart, right? Bend the left foot up on the block, pivot on your right heel, turn the toes in, bend the left knee. You know where we're going. How fast you get there is going to depend on how much you want to do for you. You want to dance around and look at stuff around your house? Why are you here? Step wider, Adam. 3.5 to 4 foot apart, buddy. There you go. When you bend that left knee, at least step wider. When you bend that left knee, push through that right heel. Let that right side of your body, that right leg, be stable. So when you bend the left knee, you can really feel, does this knee bend as much? Does this hip have different stuff going on in it? And if something comes up, unless it's pain, it automatically is awareness. And awareness is what we're here for. We're here to learn. Stretch the right arm out over the right foot, palm up, stretch the bicep away from the ear. So you begin the elongation of the shoulder from the trap. Keep that stretch. Bring the hand out in front of the face. Stretch the arm away from the shoulder again. Feel the back body engage. Turn the palm flat. Bring the arm overhead. And when you stretch the bicep from the shoulder here, feel the ribs encourage the movement. And then bend your left knee deeper. Yeah, because half of you unbent your knee when you swung your arm overhead. Yoga unfortunately demands that you walk and chew bubble gum at the same time. And then at one point, be enlightened. I'll let you know when I get to any of those. But that doesn't mean we still don't work. Take a breath. Breathe. You got this, Pratima. Take care of your foot. Take your right arm out of the pose the way you got into it. Don't just flip it up into the air and jam the shoulder, swing it out into the front of the face, and then over the foot and down just to get out of a bad habit. Bring your chest up. Step your foot off the block. Put a block, step wide, put a block under your right foot. I'm using block for a filler for books. You could use saucepans, whatever you got. You have very, very durable like boxes for board games, those work. Right foot up on the block, nice and wide. Pivot on your left heel, turn your toes in deep. Bend the right knee. Right elbow on the shin, or on the knee again, just like you were. Right hand turned out. All right. So you've been here before. But from here, we can modify it into a different pose using all the same structural stuff so that what you start learning about the next pose comes from a place of stability. Even if you've done the pose a billion times, today is the first day, this is the first time you're doing it in this moment. Might as well have been the first time you're doing it in your life. Turn your left toes in deeper. Really pivot through that heel and turn them in as deep as you can, and then rebend the knee. You're going to challenge your hips on this one. With your right elbow on the right knee, take your left hand down towards the floor near the block. And now try to turn your left toes in just a little more. If you cannot, that is because your feet, your heels are, your left foot is not in the correct position. Hop your left foot the direction the toes are pointing about 3 inches. So one foot is not behind the other, like, arch to arch, more heel to heel, or even wider than that, like a wider L that's not connected. Now turn your toes in. Now the right knee is bent. Now stretch both arms straight out to the world in front of you and hold. Tristan, you can't hear Tristan. She just went, oh no. Now, even though the tendency is going to want to be to lean into that right leg, keep the right knee bent. Put more weight in your left heel. Pick your chest straight up. Keep all your legs. Chest straight up, arms straight up into the air. Virabhadrasana 1. There you go, guys. You all made it. Now rebend your right knee. Now re-push through your left leg. Think about your belly button. Is it facing directly forward? Are both sides of your rib cage facing forward? Rotate them to that degree. The hips may not be true. The hips will not be true because the hips are in an asymmetrical alignment. Bring your palms tight together. Oh God, this is back? Oh yes. Press the pinky side of the hand and the thumb side of the hand equal in action, just like the foot. And again, look at your toes. Are you doing cat mudra? Are they turning white? Lift all the toes up for a moment. And as hard as this is, just now in the moments when you want to get out, can you talk yourself into it rather than just give yourself permission to quit when there's challenge? Take a breath. Fold forward, take both hands down. Take your right elbow onto your right knee again. Rotate your left ribs up towards the ceiling. Stretch your left hand out over the left foot again. Palm up, bicep up. Stretch the arm from the ear. Stretch the arm out in front of your face. Stretch the arm from the shoulder. And then palm down, swing it overhead. Now that almost really feels good after what that was. Maybe, I don't know. Keep your legs. Bring your body up to warrior 2. Nice. And now step your right foot off the block and let's do the left side. Not a whole lot of difference in leg shape, right? Pelvis shape, yes, but the action of the legs allows the pelvis and the spine to move. So it's not just how strong you are with your legs, but how are you using the stuff you've got to shape and create the things you want. Left foot up on the block, pivot on your right heel and turn your toes in. How long does this class go? 7? Oh, that's going fast. All right. Left foot up on the block, pivot on your right heel, turn your toes in, bend your left knee. Take your left elbow onto your left knee. Right arm stretches out over the right leg. Palm up, bicep up, stretch the arm, shoulder, all that. Swing the arm forward, stretch it from your face for a moment. Stretch it overhead, elongate those ribs. Take a nice breath, and when you exhale, take your right hand down to the floor on the inside of the foot block. Turn your right toes in more. Pivot on the heel. Try to really twist, make that thigh do it. It's really hard to do. It's so hard. I still struggle, but we still do. Left knee stays bent. Stretch both arms straight out in front of you, trying to keep your chest, belly on your thighs. Now, keeping your chest on your thigh, pick your arms up higher than your ears. Don't lift your chest off your thigh, though. Thank you. Very good, Shuba. Now pick your chest up and your arms up simultaneously so your whole spine from your tailbone to your skull lifts. Bring the palms tight together and press the inner palm or the thumb side of the palm, thumb index, and pinky side together firm. So you activate the muscles of your chest and your back and lift. And then take a nice breath. Keep your weight in your right heel and bend your left knee, allowing your hips to come down as your spine lifts up. And you might be thinking, I don't know if any of my body parts are doing that. But those of you that I can see on camera, you're doing it. So, you know, some people are taking a rest. That's okay. But at least if you don't think you're doing it right, you're moving your body in shape to question it. Questioning is the important part of the practice. Blind devotion in any form is dangerous. Take a nice breath, bring your hands down to the floor. Take your left elbow onto your left knee. Stretch your right arm back over your right foot. Bicep up, palm up. Stretch the shoulder from the ear. Stretch the arm forward so the hand's in front of your face. Stretch the shoulder more so you feel the back open, and then overhead, bring the palm down. And if you tried to skip it and go fast, you're such an expert, you can just skip to the end of the game. All right. Trust me, I'm an expert of trying to anticipate what the teacher says and do it ahead of time. Like that makes me the special student. It gets me to the end of it faster. Now, I know we're in the age of the internet. You can have an internet disconnect if you want to get out of class. I suggest you try it and stick here for what you came for. Keep your left knee bent, bring your body up to warrior two. Palms up, stretch those biceps up. Always take the opportunity to kind of open up and reset, so you always kind of go to that thing that we're practicing right now instead of worried about getting through it. Biceps up, turn your palms down, take a nice breath in. You just came through that little like sequence. Straighten your leg, arms down, hop your foot off the block. Take your, put a block flat for your right foot. Take a second block and place it on the outside of the block, the first block, tall. So if your right foot is up on that block, the second block, tall, will be right next to the foot, high as you can. If you are very tight in the hamstrings, it's appropriate to grab higher than a block, a chair, stools, whatever, small tables. Stand wide, right foot up on the block with the toes turned out. We're going through this slow because there's a thing that happens to the muscles of the body when you slow it down and you start changing the structure of them. I'm going to talk for a second because some of you are taking a moment to get there and also to rest. That when you slow down the movement here, you actually make certain muscle groups work more than the joints. The muscle spindles of the muscle will release. They're little coils basically, where the muscle wants to stay constricted and tight. This kind of unwinds them, but you have to go a little bit slower to teach them that movement, because if they stay gripped and you're trying to create that movement, that's when you torque a joint, that's when you tear something. And I'm not really interested in people hurting themselves for some gymnastic idea. Right toes out, turn your left toes in more, bend your right knee. We're gonna do a lot. Get ready for this one. Take your right hand onto the block on the outside of your foot. Look at your left knee. Is it turned out or in? I haven't said it in the last 10 minutes, so most of us probably already forgot it, including me. Toes, look at your left foot, look at your left knee, make sure they're right. Make sure you're not doing cat mudra. Don't dig your nails into your props. Now, stretch the left arm out over the foot. We've already done this. Palm up, bicep up. Stretch it away from the shoulder. Put it in front of your face. Stretch it away from your face. Turn the palm down. Stretch it up overhead. And now lift it straight up from this position. but keep all that same bicep flexion, that same back muscle engaged. So your left arm and right arm are extending away from each other. Now straighten your right leg. Listen, when you straighten your right leg, push through your right big toe and think about the thigh muscle, the large muscle, the quad, we've already worked it, stretching the knee towards the hip, the hamstring pushing your right buttock towards your left buttock. Woo! Utthita Trikonasana. Now, if you can't get your legs straight without your chest falling down into your groin, for what I like to call, it's better to bend your knee, but keep that spine elongated. Let's see what we got here. I'll let you all hold this for a second while I watch the camera. Good job, Glenda. Glenda, bend your knee a little bit more so you can lift your chest up and back. There you go. Keep that spine elongated. You too, Adam. Bend your right knee a little bit so you can lean your back so you get that slouch out of your chest. There you go. More of that. Now, for the fun part. Take your left hand down to the inside of the block. Bend your right knee slightly. Move the block under your right hand to under your left hand. So move the block to the inside of the foot. Oh, yes. Before you, Kristen's already swearing at me. Keep the right knee bent. Stretch the right arm out towards your side, towards your right. Turn the palm up, stretch the bicep from the ear. Now straighten your right leg, and when you straighten, listen, pull the right knee, use the muscle, not to push the knee down, but pull the knee towards the hip. Your hamstring pulls the right buttock back to the world behind you. Left hand balances on that block. Try to stretch, take your right arm straight up to the ceiling, rotating your ribs any degree. Ooh. Revolve that triangle. And now that you've revolved the triangle, let me ask, what the hell happened to your left foot and knee? I know they went somewhere else, so check back in with them. Reground that left heel and feel the challenge of that. Bend your right knee a little, rework your left leg, and then work your right leg, then stretch the spine. Bring the right arm down. Bend the right knee. Stretch both arms straight out in front of you, chest on your thigh. Virabhadrasana 1. Same structural stuff. Work your left leg. Push through your heels so your buttock lifts. There you go. Now pick your spine up, chest up, arms up. Palms tight together. Pinky side of the palm, thumb side of the palm. Lift. Feel the engagement of the muscles of the chest and back. If you really press those two sides together, they're going to move. Lift your chest. And then bend your right knee and let your hips come down. Breathe. Your chest should be facing out over your right thigh as best you can. So if the navel is pointing the same direction as your right knee, the ribs are doing that too. Very good, Adam. Nice. Elise, take a nice breath and lift your back ribs, dear. Now, don't lean back farther, but lift up taller. There you go. All right. Bend your right knee anymore. Take your right elbow onto your right knee. Fingers pointing the same direction as the foot. Stretch your left arm out over your left leg. Palm up. Stretch the bicep from the ear. I'm trying to get you through it quick now. Bicep from the ear. Bring the hand in front of your face. Stretch the bicep from the shoulder. Turn the palm down. Swing the arm over. Now that you've done a bunch of other poses before this, take a breath into this. And it's taken a lot of stretch and sharpness. Are you aware from what you're doing in your toes to your hands? And start filling in the space in between. Can you lift your spine up and back? Can you create space? And one small part of this that I didn't even mention, tongue off the roof of your mouth. Armpit elongates. You take a deeper breath. Somewhere add your thing into this. All right. Keep the knee, warrior 2, chest up, arms wide. Still in the legs. Those legs haven't changed since pose 1. All the same work is there. Bring the arms down, step the foot off the block. Now you got to do it on the other side. Isn't that the fun part about yoga? You do one pose, puppy, get to the other half. So this little dog is so happy to be back on yoga camera. You have no clue. Left foot up on the block with a second block next to it that is taller. Step 3.5 to 4 foot apart. All right, here we go. Let's do this. Bend the left knee. Left elbow on the knee. Right hand over the right foot, palm up, bicep up. Stretch the shoulder from the neck. Bring the hand in front of the face, stretch the bicep from the shoulder, palm down, swing it overhead. Then take an exhale, stretch those ribs long, and then lift the arm straight up and take your left hand down to your block. Uttahita, Trikonasana. When you straighten the left leg, make sure your right knee is in place. Even though there's movement about to happen, stability must be true. When you straighten your left leg, flex the left thigh and don't push the knee down, but pull the knee towards the hip. Pull the hamstring. The hamstring pushes the buttock towards the right. Left buttock towards right buttock. And lean your spine back. Very good. Much nicer on this side. I'm good, Katie. Lean your head back, friend. Thank you. Makes those calves work. Good job, Micah. Arm straight up, Miss Shuba. Thank you, dear. Take a breath. Bring your right arm down. As you exhale, move the block from your left hand to under your right. Bend the left knee. Stretch the left arm out to the left side of the body. Don't take it up yet, but just roll the bicep up, palm up, stretch the shoulder from, or the bicep from the shoulder so it has to open and work. And so take a breath. Start to lengthen that left leg, flex the thigh, pull the knee towards the hip so the leg straightens, press through the hamstring to lift the left buttock back, and then try to stretch the left arm higher. Use that back muscle to lift that left arm into the twist. Very good. Hold. Check in with your legs. You're at the most, at least complex pose as far as spinal movement goes. Where are your feet? Where are your toes? And from the tips of your fingers to the tips of your toes, can you stretch your awareness to feel something different going on in your body other than the screaming part? Again, check in with your head and your heart. Check in with your breath. Are all those parts working together to create something different, or is one of them self-sabotaging? Right? I know in my head, my language used to be, well, I suck and can't do this. That wasn't helpful. Bring your left arm down. Take your left elbow onto the left knee, bending the knee again. Stretch your right arm out over the right foot, palm and bicep up. Oh, I'm sorry, not over the foot. Stretch both arms out over your left foot, warrior one, I apologize. Chest on thigh, left knee bent. When you lift your chest up, don't untwist it, but your navel stays the same direction as your left foot and knee. Prick your chest arms up, palms tight. Inner and outer palm pressing so you engage the chest and back. And let it lift. Lift with those muscles that you're flexing. So you make a flexed muscle move, and then bend that left knee, letting your hips come down. Breathe. Don't do cat mudra. Don't dig your nails into the thing. Now bring your left elbow onto your left knee. Stretch the right arm out over the right leg with your palm bicep up. Palm bicep up. Stretch the shoulder away from the neck. Bring the right hand in front of your face. Stretch the bicep away from the shoulder. Palm down. Stretch the arm overhead, elongating the side body. Side angle. Push. This is very funny. Keep your legs. Exhale, bring your body up to warrior two. Can you still keep all the structure of your legs? So now every movement we've done is, can we keep the legs stable so the pelvis and spine can move and create range of motion? You want to get to the crazy stuff in yoga? There's a reason Mr. Angar made us do standing poses so much. The stability of the legs makes it so the spine may move. Exhale, bring the arms down, step off your block. Isn't that nice? Lay on your backs. When you lay down, stretch the legs out, let the eyes close. Time flies. You've reached what some consider the end of the work. And even though we're here for a short time in Savasana, it is not the end. The thing that I've learned in all the hours I've been on yoga mats over all the years is that this moment is where you really do the most important part. This is what you've worked for, not rest, but focus. The moment to be strong and see what else is going on in there. When the body, after being tested, the confidence that comes from that, we turn inward. We let the breath be the work. And for something so soft and natural, it is a challenge. So when you breathe in, become aware of how your abdomen breathes in. Are you breathing into all sides of the stomach? The top, the bottom, the top near your ribs, the bottom near your pelvis, the left, the right, the front belly button side, and the back side near your spine. And this isn't about flexing or unflexing or doing anything but letting the breath, this natural, powerful process, literally what drives everything you can do in your life. Because without it, there is no life. Can you give up the muscular control and feel the breath and let it expand and move your body? Can you give it enough space in your mind to see how it moves you? Ego does not die in the physical postures. Ego changes. Ego does not die in the breath. It learns to listen. So when you feel each breath in, the expanding movement of your stomach, those 8 points, or those 6 sides, I said, front, back, top, bottom, left, and right. What's the feedback that you get? What are the qualities of your breath? Fast, slow, hot, cold. What are the ways you describe it? Because how you feel, what you feel come up for the description of your breath, ultimately is what you're creating inside of you. So what's your exhale like? And once you begin to find descriptors, can you accept that that is just the way it is for now? That just the awareness of it creates change of it, right? They always like to say the first step to solving a problem is admitting there's a problem. I don't think there's a single problem in you. but there is wisdom in that. The first thing we have to do is admit there's something that we would like to change. And that awareness of it in this moment is transformative. That each deep breath in, slow breath out is information and knowledge about ourselves that we take off of this mat into the world around us. So, my friends, for just the next minute, the eyes closed, feeling the breath, feeling the move of the abdomen. And if the breath goes other places in the body, you feel it stretch and move the lungs, or you feel, if you're a practitioner of prana and you feel that touch the fingers and toes and all those places in between. See what it brings you back from there, what stories it has to tell you about you. And rest and enjoy the fruits of your yogic practice.